Yeah, data center is one. Other two industries, if you ask me, I think hospitals again are going to do very, very well. Healthcare as a whole, because India is the youngest generation, youngest population today,
Yeah.
but world is aging much faster. So the kind of healthcare requirement which is there is huge. Plus, except for India, I think it is unaffordable in most part of the world.
Hello and welcome to Market Pillars Uncovered, an educational series where we bring you insights from leaders who are shaping India's financial ecosystem. And today we have with us Mr. Vijay Bharadia. He's the founder and chief investment officer at Wallfort PMS, a business that has seen the evolution from being family owned, operated and with roots in family business to a professionally managed one at the forefront of India's equity markets. Mr. Bharadia, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Money TV, for having me today.
So I think to begin with, I'd like to understand your journey in the financial services industry, and what points in your career did you think that this is something where you want to be? How did it all begin, and how did the PMS firm as well be established?
So, I'll have to go a little back. I started in 1997, that is just after my 10th. So in our Marwadi Gujarati families, families are like, 3 mahina chutti hai, so what will you do? So you rather go to office. So that is when I started going to office regularly for 2 months. And then I got glued to looking at the screen also, and then reading about the businesses, reading about the companies, and speaking to my brother about all the businesses he's invested in. And that got me curious. So I went through few companies there, and I was part of the family office initially. So for 10 years, I learned from him how to look at companies and, so on and so forth. And then I moved to the institutional side of our company, where I worked and serviced all the mutual funds, insurance companies, banks, and met all the people outside. So first 10 years were, in the room. Then the next 10 years were outside meeting people and knowing more and more about companies were very, very good. This is the only business where you are able to learn about many businesses together. So I kept getting interested, and then I think after 20 years I thought, there is something I want to do all my life. So then I moved over to managing money, and that is how it started.
Well, so your lessons began at home. In a way,
obviously. So all credit to my brothers for getting me into this and teaching me, hand-holding me initially, and giving me all the knowledge which was required, putting me out there in the field to experience it. And somehow it's now in the blood. I feel all the brothers are there, and so the family has been the backbone and the root cause for this journey.
Lovely. Okay. As somebody who is managing money and somebody who's managing portfolios actively, you have to be ahead of the curve. You have to sort of find the opportunities, and where exactly is it that you will find the alpha, because that's the value you have to deliver to your investors. So I want to get a bit of a sneak peek into what's the thought process you put in, the framework you deploy when you have to identify an opportunity that has not yet been so identified by the market.
Very good question. So we usually have a top-down approach, where as a team we have a 14-people team at Wallfort PMS, and we continuously keep reading in terms of what policies and what macro changes are happening in the country as well as outside, and also read a lot of outside country where we've seen companies transiting from small cap to large caps, and we try to first figure out which sectors will do well. So once we are clear in our terms that these are the few 2 or 3 sectors which will do well, then we go and meet the top 3-5 companies in that particular sector, and then after meeting the management, understanding their capability, and obviously this meeting the management is very, very important here, which I think gives you a insight in terms of, how capable they are, how the team is, how the setup is, and identifying them early is important, because once the market identifies, there is only so much that you can make on that. So identifying early is very, very important. So first, getting to know which sectors are going to do well in next 3 to 5 years, and then going and meeting companies which are not really identified already by the mutual funds and the large players. Is so you have to like keep meeting a new company every week. So that is what our process is. So we meet almost 50 to 60 companies every year and keep preparing our database, and then we see which company is actually delivering what they've spoken about. And once we see there is a potential, that is when we take it ahead,
get in, and
invest.
We've spoken to so many market leaders on Money TV, and the one thing that they all say is that meeting the management gives you insights that a balance sheet and a P&L cannot. And you're obviously no exception, because the management's body language, their vision and their long-term goals for the company speak volumes.
When you invest in small and mid-cap companies, it is very, very important that the promoter who is involved has that fire in the belly, that zeal, that risk-taking appetite, and also managing it. It is all very, very important. So when the company is small, there is not much second tier, third tier kind of layers where he can be dependent on. It is him who is doing mostly everything. Then as he progresses and does well, then that all those parts come in later. So that is what I saw in our PMS also. Initially it was just 3 people, and as we kept growing, now we are 14 people team. So initially it is that promoter only who has to work hard, the kind of commitment he has towards his business, the kind of thought process he has, the kind of ethics, integrity he has towards his business and towards all the people he is connected to, right from his raw material supplier to his end customer or any channel partner he is dealing with. He has to be व्यवहारिक in our language when we say कि उसका व्यवहार अच्छा होना चाहिए, because you cannot do a good business with a bad person. So उसका that only you can come to know once you meet him, spend time with him. So we try to spend a lot of time before we invest in a company with the management. So
So when we are speaking with you, we are indirectly also getting the knowledge from what you have attained by speaking to hundreds of managements, I guess, in your career.
I hope so. I mean, that is what has helped me achieve whatever I wanted to. I mean, we've been able to deliver 51% kind of return for last 5 years. So all thanks to all those management who have been in touch with us, and they've actually delivered what they spoke about, and markets have rewarded them handsomely.
So let's glean a little bit from this insight that you have. According to you, what would be that one industry, if you had to name just one right now, that looks promising to you because of trends, because of the ecosystem as we are in currently? What's that one industry that you'd like to name?
So I think data center is one thing where I think in next 3 to 5 years, the kind of requirement as a country we will have, and there is some law which is going to change in next couple of years, where the government has said that all the data which is created in the country by all the individuals or corporates has to be stored domestically. So the kind of space which is required to store that data is 10% of what will be required. So right now there are top 3 players like AWS and Google and Microsoft. So there will be lot more data centers required. So now I am not saying that any particular company will do well. I mean, I don't want to name any company, but there are many ancillary parts to creating a data center, right from hardware to wires to cables to cooling solutions to lot of things. So all of them, wherever you see a particular player has created a moat in terms of supplying those parts consistently. So the TAM itself is going to be huge for next 5 years, where the data centers have to be created to store that data in the country. But who will do well is what we are trying to find out. So we are meeting a lot of companies who are doing, different parts in the data center. And we hope we find a winner.
Okay, very interesting. But that extension may be real estate as well, because I mean, to set up one data center, apart from the internal infrastructure.
So, as I said, real estate is one part, and that is like a commodity in that. So that many real estate companies can have that space, but a company which is focused only on providing a particular part, and where there will be a shortage of that particular part because of whatever, because there has not been too much creation in data centers, and 1 megawatt of data center takes a lot of money if it is built from scratch. So the kind of money required and the kind of data center space is required is huge. So there will be a lot of companies. So power is one very big thing which is required to keep it functioning for 24 hours, because data centers cannot go down, and the kind of power you require to run a data center is huge. So that can be one aspect to look at. There will be a lot of cabling, lot of cooling solution which will be required, because heat is one thing which slows it down and deteriorates it much faster. So if somebody is able to provide better cooling solution, that also will save cost. So we are looking to find good companies who are providing services in this sector. And we met few and we are meeting few.
All right.
So
okay,
this is one sector I think till 2030 will have tremendous scope.
Any other sector apart from data center and the ancillary ones that you spoke about?
So every sector we look at, we usually try to play it via ancillary or a proxy, because the main company is already discovered. We know the few people who are providing data center space, we know few companies who are building data centers, but those ancillary players who are not in the forefront is where we try to target, because they will have consistent order book and growing order book, where they are not in the forefront and they are not taking the risk of deploying those data centers ahead. So playing the proxy is safer and better is what I feel. So data center is one. Other two industries, if you ask me, I think hospitals again are going to do very well. Healthcare as a whole, because India is the youngest population today, but world is aging much faster. So the kind of healthcare requirement which is there is huge. Plus, except for India, I think it is unaffordable in most part of the world. So that is again one thing. Medical tourism is going to pick up, and that way healthcare and hospitals should do well. And shipbuilding again, I think, is one thing where India is 100% dependent on imports. Today we are not building any ships. So that is again where government has started talking about it, but once the policy is framed and then who enters that vertical, and again we are looking at companies today, so that if we are able to invest something today, when the actual policy comes and the company does well,
you're ready
we are
with your
ahead
arsenal.
of the curve.
Okay, understood. So once you've selected the industry, does the size of market capitalization impact your decision? Because in India you have, of course, large caps, mid caps, small caps. A big chunk are, of course, small caps, and you're constantly seeing more and more companies list themselves. So are you agnostic to the size, the market capitalization of a company, or as long as it's a good business, you don't care what the market cap is?
So as in Wallfort PMS, we've decided to go with the 4P strategy. So first P is the promoter, second is the product, third is profitability, and last is the price. The first P is very important. So because of our size, or because of the kind of access you get in smaller companies, and the management listens to you, it doesn't happen in very large cap companies. So we try to look at companies within the market cap of 1,000 crore to 10,000 crore, where we can not only understand the business from the promoter and the whole team, but also help them a little, because I have had an experience of 10 years, 12 years in the mutual fund side. So we also guide them in terms of what they are not doing and what they should do in terms to become ripe for the institutional investors. Because today the kind of money which is managed by the institutional investors is in lakhs of crores. So eventually you want to go there, but there are not many companies who are following certain disclosures, or proper IR, proper con calls and those things. So without doing that, these institutional investors don't really look at you. So we try to not only invest but also guide them as to how they should transit to becoming an institutional company.
Do you think that is what makes your firm stand out? And like you mentioned, 51% in the last 5 years.
Yes. So I would give like almost 100% credit to that thought process, which from day one I had, because I worked on the prop side for 10 years, where we used to invest in micro caps and small caps. And then when we saw those companies actually getting bought by the institution, so I saw there is a gap where those companies are not really getting the right advice in terms of what corporate governance they should follow, what kind of disclosure they should do, what kind of meetings they should do, what kind of awareness they should build. So we try to identify companies when they are not in the limelight and then show them the way. Obviously the business has to be good, the promoter has to be very good, the ethics, integrity, everything has to be in place for us to take them there, because we have a credibility which we have built, which our family has built over last 30 years. So once we are sure कि उसका व्यवहार हमारे जैसा ही है, where we are very very upfront and very transparent in terms of what we do. So if we feel the same connect, then we go all out and we help them in every possible way to use our network, our acumen.
Younger kids would call it the vibe should match. Okay. Let's talk about PMS as a product. I want to know, how does it fit into an investor's investment basket? Because you have direct investing, you have obviously mutual funds, PMS is one such product, there's AIF, so on and so forth. So I just want to know, how does PMS fit into an individual investor's portfolio?
So I would answer that question differently. I would say that firstly, India still is very very underpenetrated in terms of equity as an asset class.
Okay.
Today we see almost 80-85% of people's money is in real estate, 8 to 10% is in FD, and just 5 to 7% is where the equity investment has happened. So I think firstly everybody should be aware that equity is one flexible, transparent and good rewarding asset class compared to the others. So the way what happens is, when you invest in real estate or you invest in gold, you are buying it and passing it on to the next generation. You are holding it for 10, 15, 20 years and you are investing a large sum of what you own. While when you invest in equities, you are investing like 0.5%, 1% of your disposable income, and then you expect similar kind of returns. So firstly, I would want more and more people to understand that, be it through mutual fund, be it through PMS, be it through AIF, whatever suits anybody's risk appetite or approach is fine. But investing in equities, I feel, is very very important, because this is one asset class where if you invest for a very long time, as we have done in our family. So 90s when my brother started, so my father were into textiles, but my brother pivoted towards equities, and for last 30-35 years we've been constantly investing. So that has given us that is, I can say, given a better lifestyle, or a lifestyle notch up for our next generation. So I think anybody in every family, if one person starts doing that, that can create wealth for the next generation. So you have to consistently keep investing. I am not saying which mode of investing is right. I mean, you can choose a mutual fund also, choose a portfolio manager, wherever you have comfort. So it is very very important when you choose to invest a large sum of money like in a PMS. So the kind of research we do while we go to a company, that kind of research you also should put in while you are investing with a portfolio manager, because that is very very important where you are parking your money, because it's not a small amount. 50 lakh is minimum. So when you part with that kind of money with someone, you also have to do a little bit of your due diligence, where whether he's been in the market for so long, or you can go and meet, or whatever kind of due diligence you should do.
Anything that would be a red flag?
So red flag is, in PMS, when the portfolio manager is not giving you statements on time, or if he is doing too much churning, and I don't know. I mean, there is no particular red flag I feel, but I mean, you should do your diligence in terms of whether the company exists and proper SEBI license and everything is there or not, and you know who is the custodian, and all those things are in place or not. At least those check boxes you should tick.
Okay. But outside of the world of equity markets, share a glimpse of what life is like. Hobbies. I know you have a big family, so I'm sure.
So yeah, I would give all the credit to the family only. I mean, I lost my mother very, very early when I was 15. But because of a joint family, you know, we did not come to know anything. And so the family time is one thing which, you know, we keep having, because there are so many people, there are so many birthdays, so many anniversaries, so many outings. And other than that, I like watching movies, I like playing sports. So sometime cricket, sometime badminton.
Not paddle, everybody seems to be playing paddle off late.
No, not yet done that, but yeah, I've heard a lot about it.
Soon on this. All right. Okay, well, Mr. Bharadia, this was indeed a very insightful conversation. Thank you so much for sharing you know, what you've learned in this last 25-30 years of investing, and I'm sure viewers as well will take away a lot from this.
Thank you, Mubina, and I hope I was relevant for all the viewers of Money TV, and they would you know, grasp something from whatever I've said.
I'm sure they will. And that brings us to the end of this episode of Market Pillars Uncovered. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more such interesting content.